Good morning, children. Let us continue with the lesson, Let's March. In part one, we have seen that this particular lesson, Let's March, is a speech given by Kailash Satyarthi on the eve of, that is a day before he received the Nobel Prize. He shared this Nobel Prize with Malala Yousafzai, the 17-year-old girl from the northwest region of Pakistan. Kailash Satyarthi has received this particular Nobel Prize for campaigning against child labor. He is an activist who has devoted his life to advocate the rights of children and right to education. And he has worked in order to protect the rights of more than 83,000 children across 144 countries. We have finished with part one, children, and I have dealt with the different questions that you can get when it comes to the part one. Okay, true or false question, complete the following. And now we start off with, we continue with from page number 80. Okay, a little part of page number 79 I will be reading again. Friends, there is no greater violence than to deny the dreams of our children. Therefore, I refuse to accept that all the temples and the mosques and churches and prayer houses have no places for the dreams of our children. So here you can see the secular attitude of Kailash Satyarthi. He quotes from different religions and he says that every religion uh, stresses on this particular idea that we must never try to deny the dreams of our children. Okay, they have a right to dream, they have a right to live a proper life, and he refuses to accept that our temples, mosques, and churches and prayer houses, okay, have no place for the dreams of our children. In fact, there is so much of donation that gets accumulated in these places of worship that if that is utilized properly, every child can attend school. I refuse to accept that the world is so poor that just 1 week of global military expenditure can bring all the children to classroom. So therefore, he again says that the world is spending, the countries in the world are spending so much on military expenditure. Hardly any war is being fought, but every country feels has such a sense of insecurity that they spend a lot on military expenditure. But if all that is utilized well and we can use it, okay, even 1 week's of global military expenditure can bring all the children to classroom. So what is more important? Is it more important to spend for global military expenditure, or is it more important to bring all the children to the classrooms? Okay, so we have to prioritize. That is what he's stressing here. I refuse to accept that all the laws and constitutions, police and judges are unable to protect our children. Okay. In fact, he says that if the constitution, laws, the law authority which is in charge of maintaining law and order, the police and the judges, if all join hands, then it would make a lot of difference and it would be very easy for us to protect the rights of our children. I refuse to accept that the shackles of slavery can even be stronger than the quest for freedom. Shackles here, children, stands for the chains that bind. Okay, those chains which bind these children to slavery, okay, cannot be stronger than the quest for freedom. Everybody wants to be free. In fact, nobody, if you're given all the material comforts and luxuries, and but you are asked to stay in a particular in a room for some time, these material uh, luxuries that you're getting, okay, will satisfy, will keep you happy. But after that, freedom is something greater than anything else, children. So therefore, he says, I refuse to accept that the shackles of slavery can even be stronger than the quest for freedom. I refuse to accept here. Look at the use of capital words, capital alphabets here. capital alphabets have been used just in order to stress that he is emphasizing this particular point. My only aim in life is that every child is free to be a child. Okay, let children enjoy their freedom. That's why you see the name of the organization that he has started is Bachpan Bachao Andolan. So that Bachpan is very important. As you grow up, the childhood memories and the childhood period is the happiest period in any person's life. Okay, so there may be some ups and downs, and children may not be good in studies, so the elders may be nagging them, or then the father may be very strict. But everything said and done, the childhood period of one's life is the best period. Okay, as we grow up, there are lots of tensions and there is stress which increases over a period of time. So every child is free to be a child, free to grow and develop, free to eat, sleep, and see daylight, free to laugh and cry, free to play and learn, free to go to school, and above all, free to dream. So, what is the only aim in life for Kailash Satyarthi? His only aim in life is to see to it that the children are given all this freedom. They grow, develop. Here, there can be a very beautiful web diagram, children. The aim of Kailash Satyarthi in life. Children should be free to grow, develop, eat, sleep, see daylight, laugh, cry, play, learn, go to school, and above all, have the freedom to dream. Okay, but here one personal response question can come up, children. Are we really free in the real sense of the term? Okay, in spite of saying that we are independent, we got independence from the from the British rule, and our constitution has there have been several rules, regulations, and amendments made to the constitution, and fundamental rights have been added. Yet are we really free in the real sense of the term? No, because although our constitution has given us all the rights, there are many sections of the population that have been deprived of their basic fundamental rights. And out of in this particular group, you have one particular category, that is of children. And these children suffer because of bonded labor, malnutrition, mortality rate, okay, is high. Rape, abuse, child abuse is very common. So therefore it is very important that people who educated people should take over this responsibility to make children more comfortable in any society. Okay, I have the privilege of working with many courageous people who have the same aim. We have never given up against any threat or attack. We never will. Okay, so here, he says that when people take up a particular task, and they take over themselves a social responsibility, and they fight against any kind of injustice, definitely there is a lot of threat. His family was threatened. He was physically beaten up number of times. Okay, and here you have another important personality with whom he has shared this particular Nobel Prize, that is Malala herself, who's a activist who worked for many years to promote female education in the Swat Valley of the northwest region of Pakistan. Okay, and in fact, Kailash Satyarthi, he says that one of the threats that he received when he was uh, around 20, 24 years old, he organized, he decided that let me promote equality, and therefore he asked all the Harijans in the particular locality to cook a meal, to cook lunch, and he invited the local politicians and the corporators, everyone from the area, just to prove that, because those people during the election campaign were campaigning that everyone is equal, and they were giving all sorts of false promises, but he wanted to make sure that they mean what they say, and so therefore invited everybody for lunch. It so happened that the Dalit woman, kept up, that is, took into consideration the hygiene part of it, and the food was really prepared in a very clean way. Okay, but what happened was, afternoon passed, it was more than 4 o'clock, even towards evening, nobody turned up for lunch. Not a single corporator or a minister, no one, in fact, no official turned up there. So therefore, Kailash Satyarthi had the food with the Dalit women had prepared. Okay, when he came back home, his mother and sister both were crying, and they were threatened that Kailash Satyarthi would be, उसको जात बाहर करना है क्योंकि उसने दलितों के हाथ का खाना खाया है. But this was so, even after the constitution has given the fundamental right that everyone is equal and untouchability is abolished, yet it prevails in many parts of India. Okay, so he says that they receive threat and attacks and threat against any attack, and he says that we will never bow down to these threats and attacks. We have made progress in the last couple of decades period of 10 years. We have reduced the number of out of school children by half, that is dropouts. Children drop out of from school because the family is poor, and basically the parents feel that if the child goes to work, he will be earning some money. Okay, but the very fact that midday meals are provided in the school itself, and they get food to eat, makes these parents send the children to the school. So he says that due to the work done by the activists, the number of children out of school has reduced by half. We have now reduced the number of child laborers by a third. We have reduced child mortality and malnutrition. We have prevented millions of child deaths. So there's been a lot of good work that is being done, and he says that all these are the what to say, positive aspects that have positive results that have come up because of the hard work done over a period of time. But let us make no mistake, great challenges still remain. The task is not yet over. That's why in the first part we've seen that he has kept an empty chair, okay, in that particular place where he was rendering the speech. He kept an empty chair there at the podium in order to remind himself that the task is not yet over. Great challenges still remain. There are many children all over the world who are still crying out for help. Okay, so those invisible faces, those innocent, that sound of silence that can be heard, we have yet to work for them. So he says, I represent millions of those children who are left behind. Okay, so therefore he says that that great challenges still remain. Friends, the biggest challenge or the biggest crisis knocking on the doors of humankind is fear and intolerance. Okay, fear. See, when he was threatened by the so-called upper class caste members that he will be ostracized, that is, he will be, उसको जात बाहर निकालना है, उसके साथ कोई किसी तरह का connection नहीं रखेगा उस family के साथ. What he did was he decided to change his surname. Then that day he changed his surname to Satyarthi, that means seeker of truth. Okay, so he decided that I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to be bogged down by what these people say. Even if I am threatened, even if I'm attacked, I am not going to give up. I have a goal to make children free. Okay, children should get all sorts of freedom. The biggest challenge or the biggest crisis today is fear. That is, many people take up, everyone wants to do great things, but there is fear and there is also intolerance. Okay, we have utterly failed our children in imparting an education. So what does he say? That we have failed somewhere, and our children have not understood, that is, the education that is imparted to them is not really providing them their objective of life. An education that gives the meaning and objective of life, an education that gives a sense of global citizenship among the youth. If our education system was so holistic, by the time children come out of the schools and colleges, they pass out or they become graduates, they would start thinking, what is our social responsibility? What do we owe to the society? What do we have to do for the society? But our education system is only making individuals proud. It is only instilling in them a sense of but it is only making them, education here has become merely a tool for earning money. डिग्री मिल गया, सर्टिफिकेट मिल गया, एक पर्टिकुलर प्रोफेशनल कोर्स में एनरोल कर दिया, तो आगे चलो जॉब ले लो और अपने लिए पैसा कमाओ. दिस इज व्हाट हैज बिकम, दैट इज, एजुकेशन हैज बिकम a source for earning a means to earn the livelihood. So he says that we have utterly failed. Okay, that is why here the role of Malala becomes very important. Okay, where she says she decided to fight for the rights of the girl, for female education, the right of girls in the locality. Okay, so she was, although the local Taliban there had banned the children, girls from entering the school, and many of the schools that were started by her own father, they had to close down. But on 9th October, after she had finished with her examination, when she was traveling back home in a public transport bus, there was a man who just got onto the bus and asked, "Who is Malala?" And when the other girls looked at her, he fired bullets, and the bullet hit her, and she was taken to the cardiology department that's in the nearby hospital, and then she had to undergo surgery. Luckily she survived. Okay, so but yet she did not give up her task, and she decided that she's going to fight with more courage, in a more rigorous way, in order to fulfill her aim. Okay, that is to fight um, for girls' education. And along with her, two of her friends also were injured, but even they decided that they are going to keep up the fight. I'm afraid that the day is not very far away when the cumulative result of this failure will culminate in unprecedented violence. If this particular education system is not going to give us that meaning and objective of life, give us a sense of global citizenship, the youth is going to be the youth of today. They are not going to have any purpose or aim in life, and that day is not very far away where the cumulative will be increasing by successive additions. That's over a period of time, something which increases in measure. Cumulative result of this failure, if we fail to provide this right kind of education, it will reach the highest point in an unprecedented violence that is never known, unprecedented, never known before. We are going to face this particular kind of violence, and that will be suicidal for mankind, bring about, destroy one's own interest or interest in life, and it's going to be totally destructive for mankind. Okay, so she is stressing, that is Kaila Satyarthi here is trying to stress that we need to give the right kind of education. End of education children is character. Okay, if we have a good character, if we are sensitive to the problems faced by others, if we have the empathy to feel what pain and suffering others are going through, that will help us to be better human beings, and that is the real purpose of education. Okay, so here you have um, questions where vocabulary questions can be there. We have a lot of small questions. One is, what have we failed our children in? We have utterly failed our children in imparting the right kind of education. Okay. Then you have antonyms, a lot of antonyms in this particular part. Intolerance, tolerance, the use of prefix, that is alphabets which have been used before the particular word, and you can make using a prefix, you can have antonyms or opposites of the word. For example, like, dislike, dis will be prefix. Similarly, precedented, unprecedented, violence, non-violence. You have unrecognized, recognized, unacknowledged, acknowledged. Okay, tolerant, intolerant. So a lot of words where prefix is used in order to get the antonym or the opposite. Coming to some grammar questions here, we have many question tags here. Make no mistake. Let's make no mistake. Any statement which begins with "let children," we have learned that we have to use the question tag "shall be." The question tag will always, suggestion question tag will always be "shall be." Let's make no mistake, shall be. Again, we have let's make no mistake. If we have to remove negative, okay, let's refrain from. Instead of no, you can use another word, substitute it with another word. Let's refrain from making any mistake, from making mistakes. Now, look at this particular sentence. The biggest challenge or the biggest crisis knocking on the doors of humankind is fear and intolerance. A question can come up related to change the degree. The biggest challenge, the plus big plus est, the biggest challenge. So here it is superlative degree. The biggest challenge or the biggest crisis knocking on the doors of humankind is fear and intolerance. What's the subject? Fear and intolerance. Fear and intolerance, you have to take it as subject. Fear and intolerance, to take it into comparative degree, bigger than. Biggest, big, bigger, biggest. So bigger than any other challenge. So fear and intolerance Knocking on the doors of humankind is bigger than any challenge or crisis. Okay, so degrees of comparison. We have utterly failed our children in imparting an education. Again, you can have a question tag, haven't we? Yes, education gives meaning and objective of life. Gives, present, simple present tense, gives, doesn't it? Question tag. So unprecedented, you can have vocabulary question. Unprecedented meaning would be never known before. Culminate, reach the highest point. Cumulative, increasing by successive additions. Okay, so let's move ahead, children. So Kailas Satyarthi again here in these particular in the next sentence that in which he continues the speech, he says rights, security, hope can only be restored through education. Okay, you can restore educate through rights, security, and hope can be restored only through education. So he points out here that the truth that education only can help us to solve a number of social problems. Okay, well, how does education help? It creates awareness. It makes an individual aware of one's rights. It provides a sense of security and hope. Okay, and know that there are global problems are there, but yet what is very important is not only the problems, but here he talks also of the solution. So Kailas Satyarthi's speech is an excellent example of a speech, how he begins the speech by with addressing the various entities who are present in that particular room on the eve of the Nobel Prize distribution ceremony. Then he goes on to make his point one by one, and then he talks about, that is how he addresses the people who are present there. Yes, that is he uses the word friends many a times, so direct address is there. Then rights, security, and hope can be restored through education. Young people like Malala, I have started calling her my daughter Malala, not just Malala. So my daughter Malala and the other daughters, including uh, Kainat, in fact, two Kainats and Shazia, the daughters from Africa. So these two who are referred to here is along with Malala. They are two of her friends, and they are Riaz and Shazia Ramzan. Okay, these two people also played a vital role, and they were her friends, and how they have also been influenced by Malala, and in fact, they were hurt, but later on, they decided to be with her as a part of the mission, and they have been they are rising up and choosing peace over violence, tolerance over extremism, and courage over fear. So he is appreciating the work done by them and how they have decided not to give up, but they have rose up to the occasion, and they have chosen peace over violence, tolerance over extremism, and courage over fear. They overcome their courage and they decided to fight it out. Okay, so he appreciates the work done by them. Okay, so who have contributed here? You can have a small question: who have contributed to improve their situation and how? uh, Malala and the two other daughters, including Kainat and Shazia, the daughters from Africa, they have contributed by rising up and choosing peace over violence. They decided that we are, even if there is violence, at some point of time, if we keep up the struggle, we will be able to establish peace. Okay, tolerance over extremism. Extremism is having fanatical ideas, and courage over fear, not to be bogged down by whatever happens. Even if the people physically assault you and you are injured, don't give up. Okay, the solutions are emerging. Whenever you make a speech where there is a particular problem stated, don't just talk about the problems. Your Kailas Satyarthi's speech is an excellent example of a speech, and so therefore he talks about solutions now. The solutions are emerging, they are coming up. Okay, but these solutions cannot be found in the deliberations and conferences alone, and cannot be found in prescriptions from a distance. What are deliberations? Deliberations are across the room discussing. Okay, discussing, sitting in AC rooms, in conferences organized, and representatives from various countries come up. Solutions cannot be found. They cannot be found in the prescriptions. Okay, prescriptions is when you try to write an account of something that's called a prescription from a distance. Okay, people who are staying far away many a times don't know about what is the actual ground reality situation. So therefore, what is needed is, where do these solutions lie? Who will find a solution to the particular problem? They lie in small groups and local organizations and individual who are confronting those people who face the particular problem day after day. Okay, facing and attacking with a problem every day. The solution lies with them. Those who are confronting and facing this particular problem every day only know what will be the solution. Even if they remain unacknowledged, unrecognized, and unknown to the world, the solutions are with them. Okay, they may not be great leaders, but they will come out with solutions. So they may not be acknowledged. Nobody may give them a medal, or nobody may call them for a world conference. Nobody will may give them a Nobel Prize for the work that they're doing. So many times the work done by such individuals are not even recognized, unacknowledged, unrecognized, and unknown. See the use of the prefix. Okay, to the world, the solutions are with them. So don't search for the solution by discussing something sitting in the AC rooms. No, solutions lie with small groups and local organizations at the grassroots level. छोटे से जहां लोग प्रॉब्लम्स को फेस करते, उनसे पूछो कि इसका सॉल्यूशन क्या है। वो बेहतर जानते हैं कि इस प्रॉब्लम को कैसे हम टैकल कर सकते हैं। ओके, so here you can have number of questions, children. What can be restored only through education? Okay, direct answer, right, security and hope can only be restored through education. Name the people that Kailash Satyarthi refers to here. His daughter Malala, okay, then two Kainats and Razia Kainat, Razia, and you have Shazia Ramzan and Riaz, okay. These are the two girls that he's referring to, okay. Then solutions are emerging. You can have a grammar question here. Solutions are emerging. Aren't solutions emerging? That will be the answer. Okay. Then you have question tag. These solutions cannot be found in deliberation in conferences. Already it's a negative sentence. Cannot be found. These solutions is the subject, so your pronoun will be they. We have discussed the question tag previously, so you need to revise through, and I'll be putting up all the grammar questions as a separate assignment, children. At that time you can revise. Okay, these solutions cannot be found in deliberations in conferences, can they? Again, you can have complete the following sentences, children. Okay, rights, security dash. Complete the following. Right, security, hope can be restored only through education. Then you have the young people that Kailash Satyarthi refers to in the passage. Malala and two Kainats, Shazia, daughters from Africa. Okay. Then you have another, complete the following. Solutions lie dash. Where do the solutions lie? They is given here. But when you talk about, when you get a complete the following question, solutions lie in small groups and local organizations and individuals who are confronting with the problem every day. So sometimes the answer is there, but then pronouns are used, so you have to carefully read through in order to find the answer. Okay, confronting, facing, and unacknowledged, unrecognized, unknown, unrecognized, to the world, solutions are with them. Let's move ahead. Part 2, we can do it. What can we do? What is he talking about? We can do it. We can find solutions to the problem. Okay, we can find solutions to the problem. That is why the part 2 starts with we can do it. Kailash Satyarthi is very, very positive. He's very optimistic and he has never given up. And in the Steve Jobs story, we saw that whatever we do in life, whatever profession we uh, take up in life in the later stage, when you connect the dots to the past, you will find that the dots get well connected, and we know what, right in the very beginning, that is in a way, as we were very young, we decided what we wanted to do. So this particular thing can be applied if we connect the dots in Kailash Satyarthi's life, you very easily you can understand that right from the childhood he was interested in working for the welfare of children. Okay, you may ask that, I'll come to that point later again. You may ask that what can one person do? Okay, many people ask this question, अरे मेरा एक छोटा सा, अगर मैंने फटाका नहीं तोड़ा दिवाली के टाइम में क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है, अरे इतने सारे जन कर. But if everybody thinks that okay, I can contribute a little bit, then a lot can be achieved, children, because boon boon se sagar banta hai. Okay, so you may ask that what can one person do? I would recall a story of my childhood. A heavy fire had broken out in a forest. Forest में आग लग गई थी. All the animals were running away, including lion, the king of the forest. Suddenly, then he saw a tiny bird rushing towards the fire. He asked the bird, "What are you doing?" To the lion's surprise, the bird replied, "I am going to extinguish the fire. I am going to put off the fire. I'm going to stop the fire." The lion laughed and said, "How can you do it keeping just one drop of water in your beak?" Okay, forest fire is it's a raging fire. And how can you just keep one drop of water, such a tiny bird, one drop of water, and you're planning to put off the fire, extinguish the fire? The bird was adamant, Ziddhi stubborn, adamant, and she said, "I am doing my bit." Okay, this is what is a lesson that we need to take up from this particular part. I am doing my bit. If every individual, it's an important message, if every individual does their bit and contributes to society, the change can be seen. Okay, nothing is impossible. As Mahatma Gandhi has said, be the change you want to see. Okay, so he's again you have I am doing my bit. Question tag. When am is used, you will use aren't I. I will be capital, aren't I. Only the alphabet I will, is going to be the pronoun, the personal pronoun I will be capital. All other alphabets, what you're going to use in question tag will be in small alphabets. Okay, this is a small story given here. There is a conversation. So therefore, the type of question that can be asked your children is who said to whom? Okay, what are you doing? The lion asked the bird. I am doing my bit. The bird told the lion. Okay, so you can have a who said to whom question. 18 years ago, millions of individuals marched across the globe and demanded an new international law for the abolition of the worst form of child labor. Okay, and it has happened. We did it. Millions of individuals did it. So, what is this particular thing that Kailash Satyarthi is referring to? Okay, here he is referring to the global march. Due to his efforts, a global march was organized against child labor in coalition with, that is, he communicated with children's rights organization, teachers union, trade union. All of them got together and a march was organized. And this march became so very, what to say, popular that the International Labor Organization came up with a convention in Convention 182 on the worst forms of child labor in 1999, and child labor was abolished. Okay, so he says that we abolished the worst form of child labor, and this particular global march that we undertook, every individual decided that I'm going to be a part of it, and millions of individuals participated in it, and together they could achieve it. So he says that one, if everybody contributes that little bit, a lot can be achieved. Every individual from different children's rights organization, teachers union, trade union, everyone join hands, and a large number of people got together, and they reached the place where they could meet the members of the International Labour Organization. This was in 1998, 103 countries, 7.2 million people participated on June 2nd, 1998, and they reached Geneva, the headquarters of UNO, and they addressed the labor ministers there. And the labor ministers were forced to consider the demand of these millions of people who had participated in this march. And finally, this particular global campaign was successful, and the ILO had to come up with this convention, passing a law against the worst forms of child labor. Okay, friends, We live in an age of rapid globalization. We are connected through high-speed internet. Okay, so he's talking about the modern times where we live in an age of rapid globalization. Today everything, all products which are made, they are made for the global market, world market. Different products are available all over the world. It is manufactured in some countries, but then it is distributed because of trade activity, global trade activity. It's distributed to various countries. So we live in an age of rapid globalization. We are connected to high speed internet. Okay, there's a lot of connectivity. Okay, what are we connected through? High speed internet. Okay, here you can have complete the following. We live in complete the following, an age of rapid globalization. We are connected through dash. We are connected through high speed internet. We exchange our goods and services in one single global market. Thousands of flights every day connect us from one corner to another corner of the globe. But there is one serious disconnect, and there is lack of compassion. Although we are materialist, materials have brought, goods have brought us together, and we have got connected. Okay, but what is a serious disconnect that is there? There is lack of compassion. Let us inculcate, develop. What is compassion? Compassion is feeling pity for all those who are suffering. Okay, empathy, feeling of empathy. You try to find out, अरे मैं अगर उसके जगह पर होता तो what I would have faced, what was happening. So not being indifferent, but trying to sympathize with that particular person who is suffering and trying to do something for them. So having compassion or pity and concern for those suffering, we have to develop this particular compassion. Let us inculcate, let us develop and transform these individual compassion into global compassion. Let us globalize compassion. Mahatma Gandhi said, if we were to teach real peace in the world, we shall have to begin with children. Okay? Because education can play a vital role. Children are so innocent that they learn. What you learned as a child remains with you forever. You can't start learning new things and pick up new values after you mature or you become adults. It's very difficult to change our mindset. But what you learn as children, you easily pick up and you can follow that throughout your life. So if we want to bring about real peace in the world, we will have to begin with our children. I humbly add, let's unite the world through compassion of our children. I ask, whose children are they who stitch footballs but yet never played with one? Okay, beautiful rhetorical questions have been asked by Kailash Satyarthi. In a speech, the next important point is that asking rhetorical questions to emphasize a particular point. Salutation, very important. Small sentences, okay, ideas presented logically, one after the other. Kailash Satyarthi talks about problems, then he talks about solutions, then he is here presenting what can be actually done by each one of us. So here he's asking the rhetorical questions. He doesn't want answers for that, but he's just making he's emphasizing his point by putting it in a question format. Whose children are they who stitch footballs but never played with one? In the factories manufacturing sports equipment, many children are employed because they're able to, their fingers are very nimble, and so therefore they're able to stitch or they are able to weave the carpets very well, tie up the knots of the carpet threads very well. So therefore, children are used. Whose children are they who harvest cocoa yet never tasted chocolates? Whose children are they who are dying of Ebola? What is Ebola? It is a rare but deadly virus that causes fever, and it damages the entire immune system. And many times, children who are suffering from, people who are suffering, especially children who are suffering from Ebola, they pass away. It proves to be fatal and leads to death. Okay, it's a virus that causes fever and damages the immune system of an individual. Whose children are they who are kidnapped and held hostage? They are all our children. When we can talk about global market, when we can talk about globalization, when we can talk about high speed internet, when we can talk about connectivity in the world, why don't we think about all our children? They are all our children, to whichever region they belong to, whether they're from any continent. Children are children. That's why he's stressing on this idea that they are all our children. I remember an 8-year-old girl we rescued from intergenerational forced labor from stone quarries. Okay, so stone quarries are a place where a particular type of stone is mined out. It can be granite or it can be marble, and they rescued a 8-year-old girl from there. When she was sitting in my car right after her rescue, she asked me, "Why did you not come earlier?" Okay, this question, her angry question, still shakes me and has the power to shake the whole world. Her question is for all of us. What are we doing? What are we waiting for? How many girls will be allowed to go without rescue? Okay, so he's talking about another problem, that is child trafficking, where children are kidnapped from one place and they're sold in other places. Especially girls are taken to places where, and they are sold off, and they're made to do all sorts of they are physically abused, raped, and they go through all that torture. Okay, so how many girls will be allowed to go without rescue? Children are questioning our inaction, watching our actions. They are questioning us because we are indifferent to the problems faced by our children. Okay, what are we doing actually? We are doing nothing. Lots of children need our help. We need collective actions with a sense of urgency. Every single minute matters, every single child matters, every single childhood matters. Why is this particular time period, why is this action very, very important? Why is it the need of the day? Because childhood is a time which passes away very quickly, and the more we delay, the childhood of a particular child is lost. Okay, he will never get back that time again. Therefore, I challenge the passivity and pessimism surrounding our children. Passivity is lack of action. No action is taken. What are we waiting for? He's asking. Okay, we need collective action, and this has to be taken on priority. And pessimism surrounding our children. Negativity that is surrounding our children. I challenge the passivity and the pessimism surrounding our children. Pessimist, opposite, optimist. You're looking at only the negative side of things. I challenge this culture of silence, this culture of passivity, this culture of neutrality. Neutrality, not supporting or helping. You tend to remain indifferent. अरे मेरा problem नहीं है, मैं अकेला क्या करूँगा, मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता. This particular attitude that we have, okay, this is what needs to change. Okay, so uh, what does Kailash Satyarthi challenge? He challenges the passivity, the pessimism surrounding the children. He challenges the culture of silence and the culture of passivity, the culture of neutrality. Here you can have a web diagram, children. What does Kailash Satyarthi challenge? Kailash Satyarthi challenges these. Okay, what are they? Passivity, pessimism, culture of silence, culture of passivity, culture of neutrality. Okay, then there are who said to whom questions can be there. Why did you not come early? Okay, earlier. Why did you not come earlier? The question was asked by an 8-year-old girl whom Kailash Satyarthi and his team rescued from the intergenerational forced labor from stone quarries. Okay, so again, there can be a web diagram here related to the atrocities committed against children. What are the places where these people work? They work in uh, farms that harvest cocoa. They work in factories manufacturing sports equipments like football. There are children dying of the deadly virus, it is Ebola, and they're kidnapped, held hostage. Okay, work in stone quarries. All these are the atrocities committed against children. Okay, children. Now we come to the end of this particular part. We'll continue with page number 83 in the next part. Thank you, children.